All right, welcome back. And I'm now being joined on the program from Abuja by Dr. Kachon Onoju, who is a political analyst. Doc, thank you very much for joining us on the program. We start another term under the President Muhammadu Buhari administration. What exactly do you expect to see in the second term?
Well, if you ask me, what I would say is I will appreciate a return of the country back to where it was. You understand? I will appreciate a return of Nigeria back to where it was before President Muhammadu Buhari came. When President Muhammadu Buhari, before he came here, we had crisis only in the Northwest. Today, there is crisis all over the country. When President Muhammadu Buhari came, we had a Nigerian policy inclusive of everybody who's a Nigerian. But today, as President Obasanjo and General Danjuma said, we now have our president gripped by a Fulanization policy, which I believe is not proper. And just as if Obasanjo actually knew what was going to happen in the week after, they now announced they will set up a new Fulani radio to cater for the Fulanis who have come from all over West Africa into Nigeria, but cannot speak Hausa. And that, for me, that is wrong. I want us to return back to the Nigerian project, not a strategy of trying to foist an ethnic hegemony upon the whole of Nigeria.
But in fact, Doc, what is wrong if you set up a radio station to inform people, I mean, in their own language? We have, you know, we have different radio stations that are language-based. So what is wrong with that?
Well, very good. The country has major languages like Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo.
Of course, we also have radio stations that, you know, that you have, I mean, that cover other languages other than Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo.
Very good. Why I'm telling you this is very simple. There is a Fulani radio station in Adamawa set up by Atiku. You set up radios where the people are. This idea of trying to bring a national radio for an ethnicity that is smaller than the zone, that is smaller than the TV, that is smaller than the Kanuri, that is smaller than a lot of other tribes.
But really, are we not making a mountain out of a molehill here? Because what exactly is the point?
You need to understand the fundamental. It is because the West Africans who have come in, who are Fulani, are not Nigerians and cannot speak Hausa. That is actually at the very, very kernel of it. There is no time we agreed to import a population into Nigeria simply because of democracy, and a tribe finds out that...
So are you saying the government is deliberately importing these people you're talking about?
Come again?
Are you saying the government is deliberately importing these people you're talking about?
Yes, it was said some 2 years ago that Fulanis from other parts of West Africa should come into Nigeria. Why? Very simple. Because we are now a democracy, and democracy is a numbers-based game. Why should those Fulanis be coming in from everywhere? I believe and I agree with the West African policy of free movement of goods and services. Why should it be that when some other people now come in from West Africa into Nigeria, we'll be spending our money to give them money to build houses, to buy land? For what? We'll now be spending money to open a radio station for them wherever they are in Nigeria. For what? This is ethnicity. You're trying to ethnicize the government, and that is where it is wrong. If the people are coming into trade, they come into trade with their cows, the cows are bought, and they go back. Not for you to encourage them to have money. That's why those who came in, the government say fine, if they want to stay as headsmen,
remember, I mean, it's been made clear that, look, this radio station you're talking about is not just for Fulani headsmen. It's also for...
The radio station is only to publish in Fulfude. Fulfude is the language of the Fulube. They came here and they took Hausa.
Anyway,
after the conquest of the seven Hausa kingdoms.
Anyway, that is actually, it's actually not our primary...
Nigeria. And that was why President Buhari was asking us for land for that colony in all states of Nigeria, the Nigerians refused because of the history of these people. When they came to Gober, they invaded the Hausas, captured Gober, renamed the Sokoto. When they went to Futatoro, they invaded the Susu. They went
Okay, Doc, just hold on now, just hold on, because I actually don't want us to deviate from the core issues now. I just want you to set the agenda for the government, you know, for this second term. What exactly you would want to see, what you expect the government to do. Of course, I understand your own political bias, but, you know, just put that aside and say, look,
no problem. I expect the government to tackle the three promises it gave us. Security. Today, when the government came, we had the insurgency in the northeast. Today, there are killings in the northwest, there are killings in the north central, there are killings in the northeast. And United Nations said any strife that has taken more than 1,000 people should be considered a war. So that means there is war all over northern Nigeria. Secondly, the president promised to fight corruption. It has not fought corruption. Instead, it has turned his political platform, the APC, into a heaven. As the chairman of the party, Shomole, said in Warri, once you come into APC, your sins are forgiven. The other one is on the economy. When he came in, the economy was averaging 5.2 to 7.7. Today, the economy under him, because he didn't appoint anybody over 6 months after taking over, it's like moving into a new house and not appointing a gardener. If you do that for 6 months, grasses will overgrow the house. So the economy tanked. Since that time till now, the economy has not grown anything more than 2%. And that is why I say it has been historically depressed. It's been depressed away from the 5 to 6, 7% it used to be. Today, it is perpetually depressed in the 0.2%, 0.1, 0.150, and 2%. Why can't he come up? Simply because he has employed nepotism. Let him allow Nigerians from all walks of life who have the expertise to help the government. It does not mean that the sun must rise from the north. No, if you see the sun rising from the north, from the southwest, take it if that's the sun that we need to show the light. If the sun rises from the east,
and Doc, I also have to ask you this because of what you have said. If you were tapped, if the government approached you now to come serve, would you be willing to take that up?
The government will not approach me because we have been through this before. I have had people who are better than me that have called to come and provide ways and strategies how we can get out of the economic problem. They went there, they gave in their own story, painted their own pictures. After they left, the next question is, where is the man from? No, we don't want it.
No, but
from that side.
I'm still asking.
I am against the employment of nepotism as policy of the government.
I'm still asking you, Doc, that if the government approached you, would you be willing to serve?
Come again?
I'm still asking you the same question. If the government approached you, would you be willing to serve?
Why won't I serve? I'm a Nigerian. Mine is to serve the country for the very best, to bring the best in our country. No Nigerian has ever been known to say no, he will not serve. We will serve. Even talking to you as I'm doing, taking the risk and sensitizing Nigerians since the past 20 years, for me, is service to country. It's a way for me to also bring knowledge, to sensitize the people, and to be able to interrogate that which I don't understand and then place the truth so that our people will be properly informed and they will work with the information that is based on truth. So everybody will serve. We are Nigerians and we're here to serve our country. I have nothing against anybody. All I'm asking is the government should banish the employment of nepotism as a policy. Now look at the other day. The only time the East has gotten an international airport, just the other time, the president's cousin, Hadi Sariki, said that he's going to downgrade Enugu. How could you say things like that?
But hold on. I think we need to get the facts straight on this issue of downgrade. And for me, I just think, you know, people, I also expect that you would be aware. What actually happened in that case was that, look, the Minister of State for Aviation went to Enugu State and then basically told the government to do something for safety reasons, remove the mast close to the Inigo Airport, take off the market there, and of course, at the end of the day, it's what the minister said was that, look, if this was not done, there was the possibility that Enugu State Airport could be downgraded. Of course, the Enugu State government responded. It has ordered the removal of the market there. It has ordered that the mast be taken off that place. And so it's not as if, and then the minister said, yes, that's fine. What they've done, that's fine. And then that the rehabilitation of the runway can then go on and that everything is fine. So it's not as if the government has said Enugu Airport will be downgraded. I just thought people need to get this fact right.
I agree with you. Those things can be pointed out without threatening to close the airport down, because Maiduguri Airport has existed, and there has been the risk of the bombings by Boko Haram and so on. Nobody has talked about closing Maiduguri Airport. We have airports all over the north.
But Doc, I don't think this
Nobody talked about that.
Yeah, Doc, what I'm saying is I don't think this is a big issue at all. Look, the Enugu State government has ordered the market to relocate.
They have closed the market.
Yes,
they have also relocated the abattoir. They have set purpose toward removing that mask.
So it's yes, exactly. So everything is fine. I don't think we should be making so much out of this.
Well, it's very good that we're discussing it now, because if we don't, the man will think nobody cares about his intentions and those words. If there are problems, talk to the governors and they find ways to do it. Not to say you close
and that's exactly what was done anyway. But
it is the only international gateway that the Igbos have. So you leave it for them and meet with the leaders and find ways to fix it. Not to say you close it.
I think you're quoting the minister out of context, because I followed that story very well. But you know,
but don't forget what he said.
But let's leave that issue aside.
Downgrading it means that it will continue to fly as an airport, but it will no more have international status. That is what got us angry. Don't threaten to downgrade it. Talk about treating it as an airport.
Doc, I honestly, if you ask me, I don't think this is actually a big issue. But let's look at you know, other issues now in terms of you know, tackling the issue of unemployment now. What new approach would you want to see from the government? Because I just want you to be practical. Let's talk about new approach. Let's put politics aside. Let's put politics aside.
One, for us to tackle unemployment, at the beginning of the inception of Buhari's government, we advised that he should hire a team of economic advisors, because we believe if you do that, those people will plan with the private sector at mind as the engines of growth to drive economic growth. That's not true. From what you've seen, there is nothing like privatization. So it actually says that the government does not believe in the private sector driving economic growth.
Look,
government itself doesn't have the means and the capabilities.
Doc, what I want you to just do.
Economic growth.
Yeah, Doc.
Secondly, we need to stimulate the economy. Stimulating the economy is actually what generates jobs. As you heard the president's wife speak last week, she said 500 billion was spent, but in her state, only one single local government, did she hear the monies were spent. Government talks about borrowing money, talks about spending, but we don't see those spendings in the economy.
Let me take you up on the president's wife. You also know that 500 billion was actually not spent. You know that.
So that means that the first lady doesn't know what she's saying.
Of course, no, she probably got her facts wrong, because 500 billion was not spent.
What about the $16 million for the mosquito net? If the first lady doesn't know what she's talking about, I don't know who should know.
Anyway, but go on. I'm listening to you, because we really.
So what I'm saying is the very simple way to deal with unemployment is to have a holistic view of the country as one single entity. Allow for labor-intensive jobs. If you allow for labor-intensive jobs to take hold, those labor-intensive jobs will actually employ more labor in terms of rebuilding of roads, rebuilding of bridges, rebuilding of several of infrastructure. And that's what we're talking. Labor-intensive infrastructure projects are the ones that will maximally bring money to a lot of the population, and when they spend, we believe there will be stimulus.
All right.
Where is the labor-intensive infrastructure project? I've not seen it, but I read every day on the newspaper, government is doing this, government is borrowing this, where our debt has gone very high, but I've not seen it. Where are the labor-intensive infrastructure projects? That's what you need to do, and make it a countrywide campaign to promote labor-intensive infrastructure projects. I believe that will be good enough to kickstart the jobs market. That is for a beginning. Secondly, establish a council of economic advisors. The idea of having the vice president a lawyer to become the chief economic driver in the country is wrong. Find a council of economists. Bring them to, why do people go to school? Why should I go to school to become a surgeon and you come and tell me surgeons don't mean nothing? Just the same way the minister was saying that we don't need doctors, that they can travel abroad. The government doesn't have proper priority, that's what I'm saying. Set up an economic team made up of economists, and then let them think about economic policies, and let them also embrace the private sector to be the drivers of economic growth, not government. I say this because since the government came in, I've not seen that. Instead, they were even thinking of bringing back government-owned refineries, government-owned airlines. Government should get away from those things and encourage the private sector to actually grow. Provide the incentive that private sectors need to actually sustain a growth of the economy. I believe the private sector should be allowed to drive economic growth, not the government. That's nothing that the government knows how to do.
Absolutely.
And government should also be very serious about corruption. They've just been giving it mouth to mouth, mouth. It's not. Thirdly, government should secure Nigeria. Government should allow the security services to round up all those boys who use guns to arrest Nigerians and demand for ransom. If government, and I tell you this, I said this earlier today on the TV station, if the government allows security services to actually do their job, all this problem about Fulani militia, herdsmen militia, all that or Fulani bandits will go away. But because the president allows tribal considerations, and then he doesn't want the security services to move against the people who are doing these things, that's why the problem persists.
All right. Dr. Kach, I think you couldn't have said it better. And I'm happy you put political bias aside in making these points. Honestly, I'm happy about it.
I'm a Nigerian, and any day, anytime, we don't care. It's not an issue of political bias. If we come together to look at Nigeria holistically,
absolutely,
as our own, we can then put that mindset and fix it. But when we will start thinking about tribe or no tribe, things will go wrong. Absolutely. Let's just say the past 4 years, the president didn't allow security services to arrest those people who were undermining security. What has happened now? They have now started using the same guns we thought they would use.
Now, on that note, Doc, we just have to wrap up because we're actually out of time. We thank you very much. We'll take a short break now, and we'll be right back. On Deji 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country. I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly. God forbid that I go to join that panel.
Deji 360, providing clarity to issues.